Welcome back to Let's Talk Forestry. In this episode we are visiting a young agroforestry woodland. This broadleaf forest has a dual land use. We're here today in the county of Monaghan to talk to Arthur and Margaret Kierans. Arthur's forestry journey started with his career and then spread into his poultry business when he planted under the agroforestry scheme. Let's see what Arthur and Margaret have to say about their forestry journey to date.
With this plot planted here 5 years ago now. This will be its sixth year now, next winter. Well, I work for Teagasc in Ballyhaise Forestry section in Ballyhaise College. So we decided we would take the students down and do a practical on planting. It was back in January when we did the planting. What I did, I lined out the site first. As you can see, the site it's in rows, 5 metres apart between the rows and 3 metres between the trees. So I had that all lined out beforehand for the students. So it was only a matter of the students then coming, planting the tree, and as you see, every tree is supported with a stake as well and a shelter to protect the tree. So we supplied the trees and the shelters and the stakes, and I had it lined out then for the students to do the planting. Just dug a hole. The tree was 60 to 90 centimetres high, and put in the stake as well at the same time. Now, as you see this ground here, it's a fairly heavy ground. It wasn't a big job to push in the stake, and the stake then supports the tree plus the shelter. And as you can see how well the trees have done in the 5 years. I suppose it's one of the regulations maybe from the department to have the site fairly clean. So that's with the idea of the spacing too, that we'll cut silage. But a local farmer here, he zero graze it, as you can see. Then comes in with his zero grazer, and he can lift the grass, and it keeps the site nice and tidy as well. And then when he's completed that, we will go between with the topper in between the trees then, so not to damage the trees. You know, there's no reason why on a small site like this a forest owner couldn't plant it himself. The fact that I worked with the students, I work in Ballyhaise in the college, that it was a good, nice practical for the students to do. Well, you want to do it, draw up a plan of spacings, what way you're going to keep the grass trimmed. You want to have, we put them in lanes here, as I said, 5 metres apart, 3 metres between every tree, and it worked out, very well to get 600 plants on the site here. The aesthetics of the thing as well, plus we're doing a bit for the environment too, plus then there was a shelter for the birds too,
We started this poultry business back in 2001. It seemed as if I was forever putting children in and out of the car, and we had the bit of ground here, so I always had the love of poultry. And I decided, okay, well sure, there was nobody else doing it. Well, very few doing it, so I said I'd have a go at it, and yeah, lo and behold, 20 odd years later and I'm still at it. I have 2,100. There is a cap on the amount of birds you have because of the area, so it's 1,000 birds per hectare. So we have just a little over 2 hectares here. Well, I'm sure you can see now at the moment our birds aren't out. Our birds are just in, they're 18 weeks old, so they will be going out. They will actually be going out next week, so we turn them out 3 weeks after they arrive with us. So they'll be going out around 19 weeks out to graze. From daylight in the morning, I normally let them out at 8 o'clock, and they're out until dusk. They have the freedom to roam whenever they wish. As you can see down to the left here, we have a small shelter. If there's a helicopter, an airplane, thunder, you know, anything that will startle the birds, they run to the shelter, which saves them from all having to run back to get cover, which is the natural thing for them to do, to get to cover. So we've some trees, and we left some hedging when we were ploughing the field. We left some hedging.
If you didn't have trees, you're going to have to make steel shelters. That's the rule for the forest the department. And sure, you know, what harm do they do? You know, they're doing they have to do a function as well. We have a few different species. We have sycamore, oak, birch, a small bit of alder, whitethorn, and cherry. We did put in a bit of rowan, but the rowan didn't take at all. It all died off. Or mostly all the native hardwoods where we give every species a go. There's not really much maintenance on the trees themselves. We had a great take of the plants here. As you can see, as I said, mentioned the rowan was nearly the only species that didn't take, whatever reason it was. You can see how far, those are only 5 years old, those plants, and they've done exceptionally well. They're out over the top of the shelter now, and they're flying out of it. The maintenance is just keeping the range and the grass down. The other thing too, we have to fence the site off to keep out, you know, farming with foxes, mink, badgers, and also with the two-legged guys as well. So a good fence is very important too. So yeah, there's a bit of maintenance on the fence as well. You know, those paling posts are up now 22 years, and they're starting to show their age. The wire too, keeping the wire tightened as well, and we do have to keep the weeds and the grass down at the base of the fence as well. We do all our own maintenance here on the site. Everything's all in-house. I had a good idea of what it would look like when it be finished, and yeah, it has to work like that. We had, if you look there, you can see a couple of mature oaks that were planted maybe 10 years previous, and you know, they have took well. I planted just 3 or 4 there in the corners, and that's the aim of that, to have these other trees that's in that shape and that size. This was a sort of a pilot scheme, I think in the country, the first in the country, or maybe even Europe, for poultry producers to have an agroforestry plot on their range. We sat here, and a local farmer, there's 2 of us here, we joined up and decided to go the agroforestry route. The grant was very good. Our grant only lasted, it's only a 5-year thing because it was a pilot scheme. There is new schemes out now that they've gone to 10-year schemes. Maybe there's not that big of an uptake on it now. If they would, maybe if the Forest Service would maybe up the scheme to maybe to 20 years, something like the softwood schemes, there could be a bigger uptake on the scheme. We are very happy with our scheme. You know, it will look well. You know, especially this time of year, you can see the trees throughout the range. Other advantages then, as Margaret said, then we not need the shelter, the mechanical steel shelter. We can get rid of that. The trees will be there as shelter for the birds. I suppose we're offsetting maybe our carbon footprint as well by planting the trees.
The only time that they wouldn't be allowed out is disease, if there was disease in the area, and I'm sure everyone knows of the bird flu and the problems that can bring to our industry. It's very important, the poultry industry in Monaghan, and the fact that it's very little distance between the units. It's important that we, you know, keep our biosecurity to the highest spec possible to keep those diseases out, as I aforementioned, bird flu. We don't allow any vehicles in. We have the meal comes to the road, and we have it piped from the road to the meal bin, the silo, and that leaves that the lorry doesn't come in, So when the lorry leaves, I disinfect where the lorry has been. So I am not washing, you know, dirt or debris from the lorry from another poultry house. So I'm washing where he has been rather than washing what he has brought with him down. So then also the egg lorry that comes twice a week, it doesn't come in. I have a pallet truck and I bring my eggs up to the road and he loads them then at the road. How many eggs have I? About, what have I? Oh, there's a question now. I just keep gathering until the stop. I would have 60 by 150 dozen. That sound about right? Yeah, about 150 dozen a day. So that's roughly. You have to have, you know, the amount of ground for the boards. I suppose it has a positive impact on the industry because, as we all know, people will try and, you know, maybe cram birds into, you know, and so the department have regulations, but I do think they are worthwhile and they have to be, you know, the main one being the area for the bird in the house and outside. I know personally a happy bird's a healthy bird, and a healthy bird will pay you back tenfold. The more time that you spend with them at this age, you know, the birds they're calm, they're used to you, they're content with you, they're not easily startled. You know, when I can go in and out and, you know, the birds don't pass any remarks on me. Again, happy, content bird, and, you know, it's like the rest of us, when we're happy and content, we seem to work better.
That's all for this month on Let's Talk Forestry. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please join us next month where we'll be interviewing another forest owner. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you to all those who have already subscribed and left their comments to our previous episodes. All comments are read and replied to. We look forward to reading more of your comments. Thank you for now.